guys, welcome to Los Vagos and my first ever YouTube video. We've been building Los Vagos for the last few months, mainly on stream, so if you want to see me build, feel free to check out my Twitch, I'd be happy to see you there. And again, this is my first YouTube video, so bear with me. I tried my best, but production of this has been a bit rushed, and it's pretty obvious that my computer is sadly not good enough for what I wanted to do. So excuse the frames and also excuse the motion sickness I will be causing. I found a cinematic camera and I may or may not have had a little too much fun with it. And with that, big thanks to Moose for hosting his build-off, and let's dive into our entry, the Botanic Garden in Los Vagos. So this is Lost Canyon, the small canyon we built in our build. It has loads of cute rest areas and small bridges, and with lots of signs and park information, and as you can see, lots of viewing platform, a small little beach and swimming area to our right, a nice small dock if you want to ride boat in our left, and then it's a bit difficult to see, but ahead we do have a zip line as well, which you can perfectly watch people zipping from our natural viewing platform in the right, and then even from our viewing platform here in the left. That's next to our cute little stream. You have an absolute wonderful look on the zip line. And yeah, here we're just gonna have a little overview of the canyon. And with that, we're gonna have a small zip line ride ourselves, so bear with me and enjoy the ride. And please don't question the safety of this too much. Yes, the landing might be a little rough, but it's Los Vagos. People here are crazy and people here are strong, so we can get away with it. Yeah, here's another cute romantic shot. Had to include some of the moose, because our entire botanic garden is filled with animals, and of course moose cannot be missing. Yeah, and on to the next part of the Botanic Garden with a cute stream that is ending in our canyon. And I'm gonna kinda work as your guide and comment a little, but I'm also gonna leave you guys alone to just watch sometimes. So here we're just gonna move up the stream and go over some of the ruins, our old mill, and a lot of the more central areas of the park. Eventually, as you guys can see in the very top of the stream, we do end in a nice little and central lake that is one of the main focal points of our build. And here we're gonna have a little overview shot for you guys to figure the area a bit better. Everything below the train line and the two farms on the right side below the canyon is part of our botanic garden that did indeed get pretty huge. And on to the next shot. As your tour guide, I'm gonna chip in whenever there is anything interesting to say, but we're just diving in through the main entrance right now. See, we're having another quick flyover in our ruins and mill area, and then in the background you can already see the main visitor parking, which is gonna be the place where most people are stopping. In the very end here, we're gonna have a dive in on my favorite and only church I have in my life, and it is not really a church, but it is a cult, and it is a ploppers cult, and I hope you're all on board with that. Here we're gonna have a quick look at the vineyard of our botanic garden. which generally is a pretty small and rural vineyard that actually is still producing, so we do see some industry in there. And with that, enjoy the flyover, and I'm gonna chip in at the end when we hit our highlight here. Here we're finally slowly diving in on our highlight, and it's a small stage for readings or small romantic concerts in our vineyard. On to one of our next and I guess central pieces of the build, our cute amphitheater. This has been built with an ancient set by Metzger that you can grab on PDX. For us, this made for a great centerpiece of the park, where we have a cute little dance performance on the stage right now. Again, here we have a little flyby of our main building and conservatory that is next to a nice and cute Chipotle, so for all visitors of the park, this is gonna be one of the first places to head towards. Excuse the frames, I would have very much liked this to be smoother, but then I guess this is just not doable on a computer like mine. And when I say we detail hard, I mean we detail hard. We even detailed out the inside of our main conservatory at least a little bit. Here we're gonna have a flyover of our main resort area, because this is gonna be at least a little bit double to some of the shots we had before. I'm gonna use the time to talk about our build a bit. This entire park is really propped out with Starq's modular blocks, so we do have a lot of people and function in there, and the entire park is drawn out with invisible passes. So you do actually see some people walking around. Obviously, many of these parts are pretty far away from road access, so there is a limit to this, but we try to make it as functional as possible, and you do every once in a while actually see people walk through our park, which is very nice to see. Yeah, while I've been talking, we had a little flyover our main restaurant with lots of tiki houses and a playground and a nice resort area around it. Here is another detail shot, because I wanted to bring across how full of animals the park is as well, because it really is full of animals and nature, though that is a little bit harder to show in the longer range shot. So here we're gonna have a really close-up flyby of the area. Here we have our planted topography piece. I somehow had to make up for the lack of art and graffiti in the area, so we made this instead. And here on to one of our very next main centerpieces of the park, and it's Moose Arch, named after the absolute fabulous Canadian Moose for hosting his competition. And yeah, this is one of the main central pieces, as pretty easy to see in the entire build already, but probably the most noticeable here. We spend a lot of time on recoloring rocks. In fact, I had an entire 3-hour stream in which we basically just recolored rocks the entire time. here we're having another quick flyover of our main topography piece, and happy to see that there's actually people walking through our park. But yeah, in the upper area here behind our topography piece, we have our main visitor center and a very cute and small nice cafe that is bordering over one of the more central places of the park. And we love casting branding, so of course this got one. And in fact, we're gonna take a bit of time to drive over some of the custom brandings we made for the park here. Here we have our bear cave of our bear Moncholo and his cute chicken friend. So far he's not eaten his chicken, so I hope he's also gonna spare our visitors. But there is no safety guarantee in Los Vagos. And here we're driving towards one of our other central pieces of the park. It's a small version of a Pueblo town that we try to build. Here we're working our way to the outside of the park. All of this is pretty far away from the central area already. And to finish off the park here, one of the things we built is a view tower to have an absolute wonderful view over the entirety of the Botanic Garden. On to our very last, at least public point of interest in our park. I tried to build a meteor crater here, and I have to give massive props and a shout out to Elgando, not only for his amazing packs, but also because he gave me the idea to turn our meteor crater into an actual meteor museum. And while I did like the idea of a normal meteor crater, I do think the meteor museum is quite a bit more interesting than what I originally was building here. So again, big shout out to Elgando. On to the very last area of our Botanic Garden. This is not generally considered a public area, but it is taken over by troublemaking teenagers. If we have a closer look at the graffiti on the trains, we might or might not be able to get an idea who those troublemakers are. But Los Vagos has been fighting to get these under control because they have been really trashing our Botanic Garden. I think so far we've been able to track down 5 of the subjects, which is Canadian Moose, Popular Panda Roser, City Planner Place, Picana, and Cuboid. And I really hope we can get these pesky troublemakers under control. And talking about it, right here in front of us, around the fire pit, we can see those 5 troublemakers who are tormenting Los Vagos and our Botanic Garden. And here's our very last daylight shot of the build. So thank you so much for tuning in, and sorry again for the frames and my thick German accent. And with that, I'm gonna send you on one last night shot of the build as goodbye and outro. And while we drive over the park, as a last goodbye and thanks, big shout out to Elgando and his dirty roads and his streams, and big shout out to Gaga for his terrain surfaces. And big shout out for Static Noise for his Real Vision decals, and as always with all of my builds, big shout out to Jay for all of his amazing local assets. And with that, not only a gigantic thanks to all modders for making the game as amazing as it is, but also an absolutely amazing big thanks to Canadian Moose for hosting this competition. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you wanna see any more, I don't really do YouTube, but I do a lot of Twitch, so feel free to check me out there. And with that, Thank you so much and have an absolute wonderful day or evening. Bye bye.